Arthur P. Chavez was a particular kid who spoke from the beyond, of an unseen color circling the obvious. Obnoxious to the norms, explaining the unfettered reasoning behind Phillips' irrevocable curiosity stunned these two shameless, knuckle-headed shits, maintained a camaraderie sprawling honorably from a misfit's luxury of a private middle school table. Islands such as these build the brilliance of the earth, Philip thought, yet unfortunately faced those immovable spirits overcome by the pinwheel of fuck it all to death, their own, or both to mass effect. Fortune, as God would have had these angels reborn so close together, would have had so, gave them the grace shared between such a weird pair of boys. Standing from the sofa, Arthur handed Philip the controller. "I'm going to take a piss," he said. "Put on some music. You're always doing that at your place. It's always pretty good. I always seem to enjoy what you put on." "Okay," said Philip, moved with a wry and uncomfortable grin. What do you want to hear?" "I don't care. Just play something. And when I come back, I'll play a thing or two for you that you might like," he said, walking toward the bathroom. Something to prepare you for the evening." "All right, but I think I know what I'm in for," said Philip, not completely clueless. "I know, I just want to be sure," he said, entering the toilet. Clicking letter to letter in the search bar, entering a selection, then deleting, getting a better idea of what to play, then deleting that choice. Philip finally decided on a common tune that wrung out the uneasiness of his mind and allowed his heart to flirt with the madness behind the apartment door. The world was a mad place, but music did well at bringing him to a certain level of comfort. The song "Let It Happen" charged the television factory speaker, sounding as if played inside the hollows of two tin cups. However, the beat held the same effect and lifted Philip from the cushion, dancing from toe to toe, leading himself further into the apartment. He came to the first wall, ignoring his utterly complete draw to the dining room table, sharing the close space of the living room and the kitchen, separated by linoleum flooring and aluminum transition. On the wall hung framed photographs of a tank and an array of other heavily armed military vehicles he couldn't name. However, he was entirely sure Arthur could say in all their detailed destruction capabilities. Walking a bit further with his hand locked around his wrist, resting the knotted limbs at the base of his spine, he allowed his eyes to wander to the surface of the table, engrossed with a collection of items bound in black leather, resting in fastidious order. In few frames stood platoons of men and women dressed from head to boot in desert fatigues at ease. In a couple, they formed in front of those war machines present in other photos, or some other sand-colored truck in front of those war machines present in other photos, or some other sand-colored truck for what Philip could only deduce was a quick snap, preluding a walk into the field in full gear. Among all these warriors, never in the same place, stood Arthur in every inch of seriousness, pride, and courage, locked shoulder to shoulder with his cohort. Leaning into the photo and seeing himself in the glass, Philip whispered to himself. Detecting a bright smile peeking from beneath the heavy helmet Arthur was donned. Crazy asshole. Carrying on to the furthest wall, a tall chest against it displayed a number of medals that would have filled the inside of a large workman's boot box if ever taken from the elaborate showcase. Of all these rewards, this only one stood out in its unmistakable purple color and heart. Although this had always been the medal handed to a soldier or family member for their valor beyond honor in films, as sure the laurel was more to Arthur than his own life, Philip struggled with his own nationalism when recognizing the memory-giving alms, and hating there was nearly even more to give. The time that had passed since Arthur's last deployment had been years, but the call to Philip's parents' house scared the meaning of how temporary living could be. On the other end was Arthur's sister in a calm and tepid tone explaining the bullet that burned through sandbag barriers, his helmet, and burrowed into the skull of Arthur, sparing his lovely and bizarre brain. Following the 3 frames beside the cabinet from top to bottom were photos proving Arthur's successful trek up the Appalachian Trail from Springer Mountain, Georgia, to Mount Katahdin, Maine. 2,160 miles. Tough, Philip said to himself, beneath a quiver of pain in his throat with the thought of the amazing and the treacherous. Emerging from the bathroom in a rattle from the cheap quickset door, knob and thin universal wood, Arthur rubbed the damp wash from his hands. I hear music. Philip Wakefield is playing music, everyone, Arthur announced to a room of no one. Putting his hands at his waist, he listened closely for a second. I don't like it. Without too much pause, he began to hack out the laugh Philip would cling to from the beginning, igniting the incandescence in the bubble of the bulb of his spirit. I'm just playing with you. Play whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. We'll switch off, Philip said, without any control, as if he expected the mar over his right eyebrow to have disappeared. He glanced to see how real mortality stood before him, leaving a decrepit star there. Bulletproof, he thought. You play the next song. Yeah, okay, said Arthur. Grabbing the point of Philip's shoulder and digging in, Arthur jostled his body. You didn't touch any of my stuff, did you? He said with his grin. It's okay if you did, but you'd be surprised how many people just walk up and start touching your belongings. Taking a leather-wound handle with long 24-inch tassels made of the same dark material, he took the strands into the palm of his hand, then lightly smacked a low pop to the back of the booth surrounding the seating around the table. These are your personal things, you know, said Arthur. All you have to do is ask. Just ask. That's all. Meticulously laying the flog to the table next to its identical partner, Philip took the opportunity to take in the collection. Don't worry. I'll tell you everything you need to know before we get going, he promised. As proud as the exhibit of accolade, the leather tools of Arthur's haven lay from one round end to the other of his dining table, including the pair of cat of nine tails, or what Philip decided the instruments were ropes for binding, a single blindfold with a dedicated strap to hold generously to the back of the head. Beside these things were a vast choice of whipping devices, always in twos. A team of bamboo stalks kindly sat close to the opposite end of the table of the flogging tassels. If there were none present, available for some other sinewy soul's kink, were wristbands holding promises of loop bars to be restrained to chain, braided Kevlar, or telephone wire. A matching gang of two fears of beast, of the equine nature divide the harvest of pain. The rigid rod and single flap of animal hide to train the creature, or some aching human to take the poke, sting, and affection. Do you want a drink or anything, Phil? Asked Arthur, with full delight in the offer. Philip wouldn't be satisfied if there were not something more he knew Arthur could offer. I say offer quite a bit there. I'll take a beer if you have it, he said. I have Jack, too, if you want a Jack and Coke, Arthur asked. Recalling how sweet the drink was, and deliberating with his younger self if he had the constitution to stand a couple, he decided to allow this to be prepared for him. Do you have smokes we can have, or your balcony on your balcony there? Asked Philip. Of course. Now stop there. I hope you enjoyed the first, a little more than page of St. Vincent's Voyeur. It's one I've been working on for a while. Yeah. And hopefully in the coming weeks, as I continue editing it, we'll get it in shape for a magazine or literary journal or whatever. There have been some things I've been reading that it might even work for with these chapbooks. Yeah. But with that, hey everybody. I'm going to go ahead and shut off my monitor here. And see if that improves the... I mean, it seems like it's doing okay. It's just really... But I think I'm going to turn it off anyway. I think it's good. If there is a problem with the audio, let me know, because that is what I would like to have at least running smoothly. The video is so lacking. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. Hopefully doing that will lower everything enough to get a smooth run of the evening. Just watching my performance meter here. So I've decided to start building a station, a workstation. One, I kind of need something that I can just have sitting just at home. So I'm not like, so I can take my laptop off the desk and also just create a beast for this stream. Oh man. Did I? Yeah, I did. Wow. I was like this close to thinking that I didn't turn my mic on or unmute my mic. That would have sucked. We'd have been starting over because no one has really walked in yet anyway. But this will be up later for those who want to take in the words and all that later in the evening. So hey, how's everybody doing? Hope your day's been nice. I hope this time works better for people. And if not, let me know, because I'm starting only an hour later. But I start at 5 because, that's what time things start kind of like drop. Work starts winding down here, more like 6. But I know that it's at least 8 o'clock back home. And if for anyone who is watching this, I hope that those back home in Covington, Kentucky can enjoy sitting and listening for a while before they get deep into their Netflix and chills, which can happen pretty quick and easy. Getting off from the grinds. If you haven't noticed yet, and if you haven't noticed yet, we have a new writer on the board. Her name is Helen Gowan. Or maybe it's Gowan, or maybe that's not even how you pronounce that at all, but that's definitely how you spell it. I picked up this book. It's small. I picked this also up at Lucky's Books in Vancouver. It took her a while to email me back just because, I don't know, I guess maybe I'm getting lost in the emails and stuff, but she's still selling there. So Vancouver, if you like what you hear about her tonight, There's a few copies there. Last time I was there, there was less than 10 at least. But that could have changed since a month or so ago. Yeah, yeah. If you've never been to Lucky's, I always like if I can. So we just moved, and it's not that far from where our last place is or was. Just right down the street, but we live not too far away from a pretty, I guess, popular area called The Drive. Commonwealth Drive, I think, is the full name of the street, maybe. I could be wrong on that one. But if you're from here, then you already know. I have time. Is it Commonwealth Drive? Ugh. Vancouver. The Drive. The Drive. Commercial. I knew that wasn't right. Commercial Drive. Hopefully there's a couple of you out back who are from here watching, just yelling at me. If I do say something wrong or am mistaken, there is a live chat that you can toss toss anything in. Talk to me, give me some critiques about stuff, or about my writing, or what could improve about the show, or just chat. Hit me up on there. But mostly just to kind of also just to interact with the other folks who are swinging by. So I started putting this new. So I figured out that I can use Canvas promotionals as little promotional videos on here using Stream Elements, which is pretty fucking rad. Has been kind of cool to toy around with in the last couple days. But it does block. I have to redo a little bit of it because it blocks part of where you can also get this book from Helen Gowen. Upstart and Crow is another place you can grab her book in Granville Island. So if that's something that's more accessible to you, you should go check her out. Let's see, what else? So this week is a big one, just because I do have a lot to share with you. Also, we're doing this tonight. Also, open mic tomorrow night. Like I'm like gonna get there at least 15 minutes early when the sign-up sheet starts. I hate missing sign-up sheets because I am usually pretty punctual. And you get used to going to these things, and you do get used. I guess I just got used to showing up at other spots and not really having a time limit, because usually it's at a bar or some places where it's a cafe, and cafes are open longer than 4 and 6 p.m. Usually that means they have a liquor license. But this bar, I mean, this is a bar and a cafe, and they are usually open. They're open, I thought, till like midnight. I thought maybe we'd be rocking till midnight. If that were the case, I would have been able to read in Vancouver for the first time. But that's going to be tomorrow. So yeah, I was thinking. So if you missed it, the last couple videos before this one, more were just for fun. Well, this is for fun always, but like was just to make sure things were sounding right, because I don't know how often this happens, but this streaming software updates pretty often. I feel like maybe once or twice, maybe twice a month. And so every time I update it, it like changes stuff. There's probably a way where I can like save my settings. I just haven't been able to get that far. I'm just too excited to get here and read for you all and just do this, to get into the technical stuff, because I got most of it figured out, except for the lag stuff. I don't know if it's lagging, but it probably. I look like I'm doing okay, and it looks like the KBSs are low. No dropped frames yet, really. Yeah, so that's on the docket for a lot of the thing. What I was talking about was building a stream machine. Um, just a just a desktop computer, get a tower, and just start finding things, collecting. Cancel. Just start shopping for specific technology to put into the tower to make what we're doing here just seamless. And I've been talking about it for a real long time. I've been real busy with like some of this freelance work that I've been doing, and just writing, and on top of that, just enjoying throwing myself into the spaces where the writing happens, just living, So it takes a lot to just get this stuff up. We're getting into all the Patreon stuff and the PayPal stuff. Takes a minute. PayPal's up if you'd like to make a donation. You can find it in the details of the YouTube channel somewhere, or on any of the promos that I throw out there on Facebook or Twitter and Instagram. But the main thing I want to do is like make use of the Patreon, because there's just the funds that come in through there just affect the show. All the funds affect the show to make it better. So that would be something that I would that would be funds that I would utilize to build this space for me, and just to keep it improving. I didn't really prepare too much for today. I know relatively what I like to do with these things. The first couple minutes I like to call the first page, which is I write a lot more than just poetry. So the first page is kind of like the beginning part of the show, where I share a short story, or it will be great one day to write one of these short films that I play around with sometimes, and then just shoot it pretty raw and dirty, and then just like finding friends and whoever who might be in the area who wants to have a good time with some independent, writing and filmmaking in the area. That's something that would be freaking awesome to do. So if you're listening right now and that's something that you're into, I would love to just play around with a couple 10 to 20 pages for a short film, and freaking make it. That'd be awesome. Okay, so a lot of show stuff out of the way. I do want to read a few things from Helen's book, um, which I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect with Seven Deadly Sins. Being a Catholic and all, I didn't know what direction she would go with that. I didn't read. I don't usually. When I go hunt down these chapbooks, I don't really get into reading them because they are so short. But I'd rather just buy them and read them later. I haven't bought any far right, propaganda yet in that process. So I'm going to keep on buying books in that way, chapbooks anyway. But yeah, I usually don't do any reading of the chapbooks until I get home. I might read one or two, depending on the length. And her book is small, so the lengths aren't long whatsoever. So this one I only read the first page, just to kind of get an idea of her style. But I've read it all. I've enjoyed every bit of it, and I'm looking forward to her next work, which she mentioned could be coming out sometime in the next year. So yeah, I'll be checking in on her. That's something fun to say. Being able to check in on the folks who do email me back to see what else they got going on that I can push out into the corners of the world or the continents or whatever. The interwebs. Enough talking. This first poem by Helen, and I'm sure you'll get the idea as I read a few, because they are short. Is entitled Lust. And it's always it can be strange reading other people's work sometimes, because I read it like how I think it might be read by her, but that usually slips into how my tongue is deciding to bounce off a comma or something. I don't know, whatever. This is Lust. The old man's eyes gleam. Paper slides to floor. A woman's juices slip down her thighs. Book drops on her lap. The teenager's nipples dance. Her eyeliner falls. The boy's manhood presses his shorts. Soccer ball rolls to a stop. Arousal or lust. Animal or human. Evagrius Ponticus. How would a monk know? When I did read this, I don't know if I don't, there. So if there were people here to discuss this poem, hit chat up, because I won't talk about it too much. Not that I have the answers about this poem, but if you're a writer, if you're a reader, I can't help but look things up if I don't know, if I feel like I need to know certain references, like Evagrius Ponticus. I didn't really that was probably the only part of the poem that I like had to look up. But uh, I implore you, like, look into that. It'll it'll uh, it'll guide you through a whole other level of the poem that is beyond just the surface of the page and the ink. Sorry. Um, when I first read this, I ended up reading it to Lily, and the line that kind of like stuck out to me, and I'm trying to remember exactly like how I'd explained it, but the line that, yeah, okay, I got it now. So the line that kind of really I thought was super clever, and then if this is what she meant, all right, because it's pretty neat. So I asked Lily like what she thought about the line, because all these lines are kind of like a depiction of some sort of lust or nature. Lust, what does she say? Animal or human like reaction to arousal or lust. So I like read that line over and over because I was like, how is this one? How does kind of like that one kind of like stuck out the most out of them all? And the more I thought about it, and I don't know if it's like one of those things where the more you think about it, the more you're convincing yourself that like that must be it. But I've read it a couple times, and I can't help but think about the soccer ball. The soccer ball rolls to a stop. Now, like I said, I read through all of the lines, and all the other lines kind of make sense for me. But that one, I had to think about for a minute because, I don't know, for me, that line, like what happens, I guess, when a soccer ball comes to a stop? I was like, why is that so sexy? Why is that so lusty? Why is that so, how is that an arousal thing? So I'm like thinking about it, and like, what happens, like a ball in play, comes to stop. So I'm like, what is happening in this moment? And this is why I think if this is where she was going with this, but like I was like super impressed with this line, even though it's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. Is that like a soccer ball in play coming to a stop? There are, there may be 4 to 5, maybe just two or three people going for the ball, like ravenously to get to it, like wanting it, desire, kind of like this image of desire in these few words. And if that's where she was going with that, I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was awesome. I really it made me really, really like dive into the others of these poems that she has, because there are times where she surprises you a little bit with some unexpected juxtapositions. Yeah, so that's Lust. Very good. I really liked that poem. Okay, where are we at? How long are we going? Wow. So, I hope you all have been enjoying yourself so far. Still having a couple issues with the frames being dropped. But yeah, like I'm just so, like I've had streams where it hasn't really been affected, but being in this new situation. I think the internet just doesn't. It's the network, or I'm also looking at my performance here, and it's just things are kind of pushed to the limits. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to be something that I'm going to have to change in the future to have this continue being a ever-growing thing. It'll come in time. That'll come with time. This is still pretty young. I started this back in December, maybe. This past December, and I've been having fun with it. But in order to have more fun with it, I need to kind of make some improvements. Even maybe, I don't even know. I think like video cards are specifically used for like if you're streaming, like, video game play. But I'm also looking at like just like the onboard graphic situation, and it looks like it could be relieved of some stress too. So yeah, if you listening to these words, looking at the the quality of the video, give me some insights maybe that you might have. All right. So, I do have quite a bit of my own writing to share. We're already kind of closing in on 45 minutes. I don't want to keep you all too long. But we'll see what happens. Not going anywhere yet. So this past weekend, I was able to enjoy the surroundings of one of the popular islands here in British Columbia, in Canada, Victoria Island. Been there a couple times. Only maybe like four, maybe I want to say 3 or 4 exclusively, to be able to really take in the sights and everything. But me and Lily and a bunch of our friends went and spent a couple nights just, taking it easy around fire and cooking divine food, breakfasts and dinners, and just having lunches next to the water. But the first night that we arrived, we got a fire started, and it was a pretty stubborn fire that you had to continually fan, or get down in there and blow like on the embers, and kind of feed little things so that it would have a bit to work from. The wood was pretty wet and hard to keep going, but eventually it was hot enough to where it didn't really matter. But by that time, everybody had gone to bed. I am naturally, and I think this is something that my dad and a little bit of my mom too have built in me from a young age. I just really love being awake at night. If there's something I could be doing, I'll be doing it. And especially if it's something that I'm creating, I will be up until 3 o'clock in the morning. And if it's something more, I could be seeing the daylight. I haven't done the daylight thing in a while, especially with the new job, or the new money maker. But I was up pretty late with that fire. We got there around 10:30. Everybody kind of went to bed by around midnight, 1 o'clock sometime. But I stayed up with this fire. One, that's it's just something you do, making sure the fire goes out. And also, we had spent time building this fire. I wasn't about to waste it. Yeah, I don't mind staying up, and especially if it's late. I love being up late, but man, if we're outside, forget about it. On the drive I've seen some stars, pretty good in the gorge if you're familiar. Y'all back in Kentucky, hear me. But on an island, the darkness is just spectacular because you can see just a crazy amount of stars, and you don't even gotta wait for a shooting star really, because you just look up and they're about 5, maybe 10 minutes in, 10 minutes apart, and they're just going. I don't think that would be considered like a meteor shower, but I don't know what the difference between a meteor and like a shooting star could be. But maybe you could tell me, put that in the chat. But anyways, Lily and our friends went to bed, kissing Lily goodnight. She asked me when I was going to come to bed, and I said I want to see this fire out. And I was like, oh my God, I like that line. I want to see this fire out. That's how writing that happens often with me. And it's a word, it can be just a word sometimes. I put a word down and I'll just sit with that word for weeks, and I'll know I want to use it, or it's just a line. I'll just say it to myself over. I want to see this fire out. I want to see this fire out. And all of a sudden I start getting this little bit of a cadence. Seeing this fire out. Seeing this fire out. And I'll just say it to myself over and over again. And then eventually everything else just kind of starts to unfold. And a poem just begins. This poem doesn't have a title yet, but it's fucking good. And I like it. I love it. There's a specific part too that I'll point out later. Seeing this fire out, a wind in the pines have me look at time as its relevance dissolves under coal. Rubbing cool dirt and ash into the ravines of palms, I roll up a sleeve and reach into the pit, rearranging heat. Smoke in my beard, smoke in my mustache, smoke in my fucking eyes, but I like it. A deep cut from an onion. A memory of burning funnies in my room for the color of it. As they sleep, I see to the future, then the past wiping my face. End poem. Yeah. I love this poem. I love the part. So, repetition has never been something that I really liked doing in my work, but it shows up sporadically, but in the last few, or I don't know, more years than that, once once there is like something, once there is a line that I'm like, damn, I want to say that again, but like relate it to something else, like relate this image to something else, like relative to the poem, like the things that are happening in the poem, because there's the element in which I'm like um, bringing forth, like from the moment, like I don't want that to be the end of like me talking about that specific part. So writing about the smoke, because like that is so like common with everybody. 'Cause anyone who's ever spent time in front of a bonfire, or have gone camping, or is the one keeping the fire going, you or just cooking the dog, or a brat or whatever. Like eventually someone is like you know chanting out the charm to deter the smoke. I hate white rabbits. I don't know what yours is, but that's always been one that's always made it to the around the fire. So I hate white rabbits like 3 times, I think, but I think some people like to do 5. But I love that line. The line, "Smoke in my beard, smoke in my mustache, smoke in my fucking eyes." And then referencing that to just something else, like that is makes you. I was getting the smoke in my eyes, and it's read deeper into the poem. It's more about just the smoke and stuff, but it like I'm feeling this smoke in my eyes, and I do a thing where like I just lean back a little bit and kind of like get my bearings and like wipe away the tears in my face, and just you can wipe them away, but they don't really totally go away, like the stress in the corners of your eyes, and then just like and all of that, just that feeling. It was really relative to when I'm cutting onions too, because like it is a very particular sting, and both of them have that. And maybe that's just because they're gaseous or something like that. Maybe that's the thing. But there is something about both fire smoke, and the gas released from onions, or the vapor or whatever from onions, that both have like a similar is it provocation of like a memory, or just like they're both two provoking elements that are similar, but like have different things to offer, like in memory, and in they both have 2 different effects. Like I could probably write another poem just about like crying cutting onions, but it definitely wouldn't be in my beard or my mustache. But I don't know. When I got to the smoke and the smoke and the smoke, I was so happy, and then just like having and relating it to the onions, like so good, and then just following it up with this moment, this memory that is sensory of smoke in my life, where I did burn some comics, like the newspaper funnies is what they call it. That's what I called them. I don't know if everyone else called them that. The comics, the cartoons, the Sunday cartoons, Sunday funnies, or whatever. And the reason I started burning those was because I found some matches, and I feel like this might have been the beginning of my firebug, my love, is like seeing the chemical and the different inks on the paper. When you would burn them, they would burn the color, the color of the funny, and I could not resist not doing it over and over again until I set the whole sheet of funnies on fire, which ended up setting some curtains on fire. But I was able to get it out with put it out with a cup of a bunch of like several runnings back and forth to the bathroom, filling up this McDonald's collector's cup for land before time. So if you're listening right now, and I don't think I'm gonna, usually I kind of shorten these down, but writing this poem and like having so much of my brain and my memory and and all these sensory evoking elements and feelings, like in a very, it's not that long of a poem, like 20 lines, 22, in one piece, man. Like, I love it. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but saying when I'm cutting it down, if you're here and you're listening, you have a pretty broad scope of the background of this poem. And you're welcome. Thanks for listening so far. Here's an example of a word, or this is two, of just of a poem that can just spring from a couple words. So lately spring's popping around, and so there are a lot more. We have crows back home, but there are so many more, I feel like, here, everywhere. Like, they are everywhere. Like I have only seen so many murders of crows back home, but here they like fly in rivers across the sky, going back to where they roost. But lately, I've been watching a lot of them nest. So I wrote down nesting crows, and I've just been looking at that for weeks. I know what I want to write about it. I know I do. This is just like this. It's one of those things that I'll write these couple words down. I will open my notebook multiple times, and eventually, if I'm in the right spot, or if I do happen to see another nesting crow, or maybe it could just be, treading across the park, or whatever. Seeing dead animals along the road, knowing that crows are going to get at it eventually. They won't be there. It won't be there tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe I'm writing it now. That's just, yeah. And I always would think about, and this also it'll, things like that will bring out other things I want to look into. Like, crows look all the same, and dimorphism is one of the coolest words. Or wait, is it di? It's either di or bi. I can't remember, but it just means that both female and male birds look totally alike, and there's no difference. But seeing the nesting the crows picking up materials for nests, I was like, oh, okay. And then made me wonder whether or not these are male or female crows, or if there is if that is a separation between the two. Like one is more naturally prone to be the one to build the nest. Does that even matter? I wondered that writing those two words down. Yeah. Birth of poems. Sometimes. All right. So I do have a couple more pieces that I want to share with you from me. But I want to read two more from from Miss Helen here. I don't know if that's exactly how you pronounce her name. Gowan. I don't know. I'm gonna have to email her, and that way I know for next time when she does publish that book of hers. So this next piece by her is entitled Gluttony. This is a poem by Helen Gowan. Friday night at the Royal Exchange pub, all you can eat buffet. Pickle slices atop shredded carrot and beetroot, sweet and spicy chicken wings, a grilled sausage beside 4 prawns, next to calamari rings, torn lettuce and tomato slices, fried onion over a greasy burger, baked beans on a base of potato wedges fill the plate. Don't forget the ice cream, kids. Gluttony. So if you haven't noticed yet, she's just working through the 7 deadly sins and writing a poem, which is not a bad idea. I can't wait to, this collection of work references, sinful things. And I've been reading another chapbook that I hear back from them about soon, because I really want to share some of these poems that are in this book. I mean, I'm probably going to do it anyway, because it is a magazine, and I feel like there might be there isn't really any sort of like it's already made public, right? But I just want to make sure it's covering my ass. I'm sure it's fine. But man, there are so many good poems and art and just photos, paintings, both like of just all different kinds of watercolor or like oil. There's some photography in there. It's a great all around magazine. Like there's everything in there. And I actually got it in Seattle. Talking about it too much now. But I can't wait to share it with you. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything I need to say before I move on to what's next. The thing is, like, I do have like a layout. I talk a lot in the hour that I do have, and we have just hit the 1 hour. If you're still hanging, thank you for listening. But I think I've got it all out. So I think I'm just gonna continue just reading some poems. I'm gonna read. Let's see. There is a poem that I've been. So I'm gonna be going to this open mic in Vancouver, Café du Soleil. I think is the pronunciation. But there is a poem in this book that I really want to read out, and this is one that I would wait until a couple visits, just to kind of get a sense of people's, I don't know, comfortable levels. Not that I even really care all that much, just because it's my art, and it's my observations. And in this piece, I talk a little shit about Vancouver, but I also really enjoy living here. It's a really nice spot. It's not too much elemental wise, weather wise, and all that. As you can see, it's not raining. It rains a lot more here, I feel like, but this past year has been really rainy. But this is it's similar to Seattle, but in my opinion, Seattle's a little bit more gritty. Um, so yeah, this is one that maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll get some courage because I'm always nervous just before getting up, and sometimes I'll change my mind, but more likely I won't. But yeah, this is one I'll probably wait a visit or two to read there. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be feeling it that night. So this is I think I've shared this one earlier on with you all. It's entitled "A Blazon of Burns for Vancouver." And I'll read this one and one more by me, one more by Helen Gowan, and then I'll see you all later. Let me just get my spot. Okay. Gotta get my head. Because there's a little sass to this. A blazon of burns for Vancouver. Vancouver. I see you wearing shoes in the house, Vancouver. Vancouver, how come your squash are so expensive? Can we jaywalk together? Come. I'll show you how it's done. You're good company. Could you not mention my elbows on the table anymore, please, Vancouver? Finally, believe me when I say you are the fittest of the four. Will you now enjoy more wine and another handful? Cops are still a terror, no news to you. It seems their collars just keep their crease. Vancouver, stop being so serious. Why aren't we swimming, goddammit? Rather you prepare your entire wardrobe for the flood. Come now, put down the knife, Vancouver. I love when you and me get greasy. I don't mind your dog plays with all their teeth. Let's have it. Promise me you'll more often comb self-care through the CBP. Imaginary lines for what? How dare you attempt to confiscate my Narcan? A life. Either way, I let it slide. You keep air in our tires clean, Vancouver. I think you dance beautifully. Let me believe you to be something to always have matches in your jacket. No doubt, there is something about you. Don't mind your vulnerabilities so much, you'll get them back. Drop your wallet every now and again. Marvel. Mountains, cloud of hair, urgency and everything, Vancouver. Every one of your cars trying to slaughter me too. It's clear who we are in the rain. I see the look in your men's eyes. Allow me to wash your feet. Your hand out and cold, so still is mine. Let's skate together. Of course, I wore this yesterday, Vancouver. Get your shit together. This town is run with powerful witches. Was that excrement a milky oat of vomit I passed in succession last night, Vancouver? You steal my heart, city girl. You're rowdy. You're ready. We are all watching anxiously, Vancouver. What do you have in these shops? Take your name back. I see you reaching. Hot and heavy, Hot and heavy. Ooh, hot and heavy, always so hot and heavy. Step back. Let's have a look at you. Thank you. Ooh. It made me sweat a little bit. See, I don't know if I'm ready to read that at this open mic yet, because I want, if you can hear, like there's a way I want to read it. I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah. So, I'll read one more by Miss Gowan, if that is her real name. And then I'll read one more to kind of close this out because I am going over. Okay. 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 So this next one is Wrath by Helen Gowan. Oh, wait. That's not it. I don't want to read that one. Is that the one I wanted? No. Oh, did I split? Did I skip one? Wait. I had planned this at least. Wait. Okay. Greed. Wrath's in there, so you'll just have to buy her book to go read Wrath. This is greed. The rapacious desire for material possessions. Take more than needed by trickery or manipulation or exploitation of others. Not content with one vow, demanded two. Greed. She did that again in the end of this poem. It's not as kind of like the river isn't as deep on that couple of lines as the soccer ball one. For me, anyway. But it is one that I had to laugh. You had to, choose. It seems like she's talking about, being like, instead of just, taking. You could finish something in one more syllable, but you went all the way with two anyway. Just had to have it. Gobbling up the vowels. But that could just be a surface level thought or idea on that one. I really like her writing. I look forward to her book when it comes out. And I look forward to sharing it with you. 7 Deadly Sins by Helen Gowan. Okay, everyone. It's been lovely. It's been a wonderful evening. We haven't not gone over too long. It's only 15 minutes, and this last piece is it's poetry. It's gonna be short. But thank you so much for sitting with me and listening. And I really look forward to coming back next time and reading more for you. Maybe I'll have that Crow's poem written by then. I hope so, because I'm curious. I'm curious how that one's going to unfold. Anyways, this is Sitting with God Under the Cradle of the Arts. Dive into the feeling of being exactly where you need to be, but not at all. Be okay with that space and wreckage and dimension. Nothing really matters earthly, but so does everything. No one is safe. No one is trusted. An air of constant terror. But you want to love these people and know them, like them. By any means, turn seconds into hours and see everything. Wake up, ye sleepyheads. I am not alone. In solitude, witness the keys of participation. God, enjoy the flowers stemming through your coils. Tend to the temple. Reward and revolt. For brothers and sisters. For brother and sisters. Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay human. Have a good night. Stay up till 5 a.m. Bye.